You are not losing people because you became arrogant. You are losing people because your old identity was useful to them. The available version of you was easy to interrupt. The insecure version of you was easy to advise. The distracted version of you was easy to invite back into weakness. The version of you that complained but never changed made everyone comfortable. Then one day, you stopped performing that role. You stopped explaining every move. You stopped laughing at habits that were wasting your future. You stopped giving spectators access to your plans. You stopped asking people to believe in a future they were never willing to build for themselves. And then they said the sentence every ambitious man hears before he wins: you changed. But that sentence is not always concern. Sometimes it is a control mechanism. Because the real question is not whether you changed. Of course you changed. A man who does not change remains owned by the same appetites, the same opinions, the same rules, the same weak expectations. The real question is colder. Did you become worse, or did you become harder to use? That is where most men become confused. They feel the distance, they feel the silence, they feel the invitations stop. They feel the jokes turn sharp. They feel the family tension. They feel the old friends looking at them like they betrayed an agreement nobody ever spoke out loud. And because they are still hungry for approval, they ask the wrong question. Why do they not support me? A sharper man asks something else. What role did I play in their world, and what did they lose when I stopped playing it? Most people do not love the full truth of you. They love the version of you that fits safely inside their life. The version that answers quickly. The version that wastes time with them. The version that laughs at the same weak habits. The version that dreams just enough to sound interesting, but not enough to become threatening. That version is harmless. But the moment your dream becomes a schedule, your schedule becomes discipline. Your discipline becomes proof, and your proof becomes status. The room changes. Not because you attacked anyone, because your life started asking a question they did not want to answer. What are you doing with your life? You did not say it. Your routine said it. Your absence said it. Your refusal to waste time said it. Your body said it. Your calendar said it. Your silence said it. Your standards said it. And weak people hate silent mirrors. They would rather call you arrogant than face the fact that your movement exposes their stillness. They would rather say you think you are better than admit. They are angry because you stopped making weakness feel normal. This is the first reason ambitious men lose people before they win. Your growth exposes their stagnation. When your dream was only talk, they could support it. Talk is safe. Talk lets everyone clap without changing. Talk lets people feel close to greatness without being threatened by it. But when the dream became action, it became dangerous. When you stopped showing up to the same useless nights, the same gossip, the same cheap pleasures, the same conversations about what everyone should do but never does, your life became evidence. And evidence pressures people. So they attack the change. They say you forgot where you came from. They say you are taking yourself too seriously. They say you are not the same anymore. But often, what they really mean is this: your growth is making my excuses harder to protect. This is why you must stop defending growth to people who benefit from your delay. A man who keeps explaining his evolution to people committed to misunderstanding him is still asking for permission. And permission is the first chain an ambitious man must break. But here is where you need discipline, not ego. Not everyone who questions you is your enemy. Some people are warning you because you are becoming careless. Some people are challenging you because they care about your character. Some people are not trying to control you. They are trying to stop you from becoming proud without substance. That distinction matters. Machiavellian realism is not self-flattery, it is clear sight. It does not say, everyone who doubts me is weak. It says, study the motive, study the pattern, Study what they are asking you to return to. Are they asking for responsibility, or are they demanding your old weakness? Are they correcting your character, or punishing your discipline? Are they trying to help you build better, or trying to make you smaller? That is the audit. And after the audit, you stop arguing. Because the second reason ambitious men lose people before they win is this: your discipline makes their comfort look weak. Comfort needs company. Weak habits survive best in groups. The late nights, the excuses, the wasted weekends, the gossip, the scrolling, the pointless spending, the emotional complaining, the small rituals of average men reassuring each other that nothing serious needs to change yet. Then you stop participating. You leave the group chat unread. You skip the routine that always steals the next morning. You save money while others buy the appearance of status. You train when your old circle wants entertainment. You study when they want distraction. You build when they want you available. You stop buying approval with your time. And suddenly, your discipline becomes an insult. Not because you meant it as one, because discipline has a way of humiliating comfort. The man eating badly feels judged by the man training seriously. The man wasting money feels judged by the man building options. The man living on impulse feels judged by the man becoming difficult to distract. You do not have to preach. Your life becomes the accusation. So they call you boring. They call you extreme. They say you never come around anymore. They say you are acting different. Yes, you are different. But difference is not guilt. The old version of you made weakness feel social. The new version of you makes weakness feel exposed. That is why the group tries to pull you back into the old rhythm. Not always because they hate you, but because your discipline breaks the comfort contract. And every weak group has a contract. Do not grow too much. Do not become too serious. Do not make us feel behind. Do not force us to look at our lives. Do not become proof that the excuse was optional. Once you break that contract, the room must respond. Some will respect you. Some will quietly copy you. Some will distance themselves. Some will mock you. Some will wait for you to fail so they can say, "See, you thought you were better." This is why you cannot build your future on applause. Applause is unstable. Approval is rented. Respect must be earned through proof, and proof takes longer than most people are willing to watch. If you are serious about changing, stop consuming truth like entertainment. You can watch many videos, feel powerful for a few minutes, and still return to the same habits tonight. If you continue like that, you are not building a new identity. You are decorating the old one with stronger language. Inside Patreon, I go deeper into the unfiltered frameworks behind power, discipline, solitude, and human nature. Not the comfortable version, the useful version. If you are serious, go there, study deeper, and apply it. The decision is yours. Because power does not live in asking. Power lives in making a man choose what his weaker self keeps postponing. Now understand the third reason. You stop being emotionally available for distraction. This is where many ambitious men feel guilty because they are not only changing habits, they are changing access. You no longer answer every call. You no longer debate every topic. You no longer sit for hours in conversations that produce nothing. You no longer play therapist for people who never change. You no longer let another person's chaos become your daily assignment. And the people who fed on your attention will call you cold. But are you cold, or are you finally protecting your attention? There is a difference between abandoning people and refusing to be consumed by them. A serious man does not become cruel, but he does become unavailable for low-value leakage. Connection is not the same as constant access. Loyalty is not the same as being endlessly interruptible. Love is not the same as donating your future to people who will not manage their own emotions. You can care and still have boundaries. You can love people and still stop letting them invade your mission. You can respect your family and still refuse to let family patterns decide your ceiling. You can have old friends and still stop living according to old habits. The immature man hears this and becomes theatrical. He disappears so people chase him. He goes silent to create anxiety. He mistakes distance for power. That is not strength, that is emotional performance. Strategic withdrawal is different. Strategic withdrawal produces proof. You go quiet because the mission needs pressure. You stop explaining because the work is not ready. You stop exposing fragile plans because early ambition should not be touched by weak opinions. The rule is simple. If your silence produces nothing, you are hiding. If your silence produces proof, you are building. And this is where the old room becomes nervous. Because when people no longer have access to your doubts, they can no longer use your doubts to reduce you. When they no longer know every plan, they can no longer poison the plan before it becomes real. When they no longer receive constant updates, they lose the illusion that they have a vote. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand." Most people judge what they can see. They judge your current position, your current money, your current body, your current status, your current room. They judge the appearance before they understand the construction underneath. So if you announce too early, they judge the seed like it is supposed to look like a tree. That is why silence matters. Not because mystery is magic, because premature exposure invites premature judgment, and premature judgment kills weak ambition. A strong man learns to build before he reveals. He lets action mature before asking the world to understand it. He does not hand his unfinished future to people addicted to small thinking. But once you protect your attention, another shift begins. You become harder to control. The fourth reason ambitious men lose people before they win is this: you become harder to control. This is the one old hierarchies fear most. A man who needs approval is easy to manage. A man who needs validation is easy to manipulate. A man who needs to be liked is easy to redirect. A man who fears being misunderstood is easy to silence. But the moment you stop needing approval, you become dangerous to the old order. Every room has an invisible hierarchy. There is the funny one, the broke one, the dependable one, the available one, the insecure one, the dreamer who talks but never acts, the ambitious one everyone secretly expects to fail. People place you somewhere, and as long as you stay there, the room feels stable. But when you move, the hierarchy must adjust. That is why your growth can create hostility, not because people always hate you, but because your new identity threatens the arrangement that made them comfortable. The old hierarchy does not need you weak forever. It only needs you predictable. Predictable men are easy to price, easy to label, easy to interrupt, easy to shame, easy to guilt, easy to bring back into the same room with the same words. But when a man becomes unpredictable because he no longer reacts the same way, the room loses power. He does not argue like before, he does not explain like before, he does not laugh like before, he does not chase like before. He does not confess every fear like before. He watches, he studies, he builds. And people feel the change before they can describe it. That is why some family systems resist. Some friend groups resist. Some old partners resist. Some workplace circles resist. Every system has habits that protect its structure. When you become more disciplined, more private, more focused, and less hungry for approval, the system has to decide what you are now. Are you still controllable? Are you still available? Are you still emotionally dependent? Are you still afraid of being disliked? If the answer becomes no, people start testing you. They make jokes with poison inside them. They ask questions designed to make you doubt yourself. They call your discipline obsession. They call your silence arrogance. They call your standards selfishness. They try to make you feel guilty for not being the man they knew how to handle. This is why Machiavelli matters. He did not build his view of human nature on fantasy. He studied power as it is, not as people pretend it should be. In his world, loyalty is conditional. Perception creates authority. Weakness invites contempt. Human beings often change their allegiance when interest changes. That is not comfortable. But it is useful. And the useful truth is this: some people supported you when your ambition was harmless, but they will resist you when your ambition starts creating leverage. Steve Jobs is a brutal example of this mechanism at the highest level. In 1985, Jobs lost a power struggle at Apple and resigned from the company he co-founded. Think about that. He was pushed out of the very company tied to his identity. Talent did not protect him. Vision did not protect him. Being necessary did not protect him from power games. So what did he do? He built outside the old hierarchy. He started Next. He developed Pixar. He created leverage in another room. Years later, Apple acquired NXT. Jobs returned to Apple and eventually became interim chief executive officer in 1997. The lesson is not to worship Jobs. The lesson is to understand power. When the old room rejects you, do not spend your life begging the old room to recognize you. Build leverage outside the room. The world respects proof, not pain, not explanations, not your private feeling that you are destined for more. Proof. Old hierarchies do not always reward the man who is growing. Sometimes they remove him, sometimes they contain him, sometimes they shame him, sometimes they wait to see if he collapses outside the room. So if your old circle starts resisting you, do not instantly assume you are wrong. Ask the sharper question: are they correcting my arrogance, or are they preserving my old role? That question will save you from two mistakes. The first mistake is becoming weak again just to be accepted. The second mistake is becoming arrogant and calling it strength. A strategic man avoids both. He does not crawl back to comfort. He does not burn everything for drama. He watches the terrain. He studies the people. He identifies who respects his new standard and who only misses his old weakness. Then he moves accordingly. This leads to the fifth reason: ambitious men lose people before they win. Your silence makes them suspicious. When you used to announce everything, people felt included. They knew your plans, your doubts, your hopes, your failures, your emotional temperature. They had access. Then you enter the ghost phase. You stop announcing. You stop explaining. You stop letting people vote on your future. You stop giving updates to spectators. And suddenly, silence makes them uneasy. Why? Because silence removes control. If they do not know what you are building, they cannot criticize it early. If they do not know your next move, they cannot poison it with doubt. If they do not know your doubts, they cannot use them to pull you back. Silence creates distance. Distance creates suspicion. Suspicion creates accusations. You think you are better now. You are acting strange. You are hiding something. You are different. Yes, you are different. But difference is not guilt. Sometimes difference is discipline taking shape. This is where you need to understand the difference between secrecy and strategy. Secrecy hides because it is afraid. Strategy protects because it is building. A weak man hides from responsibility. A strategic man protects the mission until it has weight. You do not owe everyone access to unfinished plans. You do not owe spectators a map of your next move. You do not owe doubters a preview of your escape. Early goals are fragile. They can be damaged by the wrong voices, not because words have mystical power, but because doubt spreads fastest when your proof is still young. When a man has no results yet, he is vulnerable to ridicule. When he is still building the first version of himself, he is vulnerable to shame. When he is trying to change identity, he is vulnerable to old labels. That is why you keep certain things private. You do not announce the body before you have the discipline. You do not announce the business before you have the offer. You do not announce the escape before it is funded. You do not announce the new life before your habits can carry it. You build receipts. And when the receipts are real, you no longer need to convince. This is where reason 6 begins. You start replacing validation with proof. This is when old relationships really start changing. Because you stop arguing, you stop defending, you stop trying to make people believe. You stop selling your dream to people who never bought into their own. Instead, you build evidence, a skill, a body, a portfolio, a business, a reputation, a bank account, a calendar that shows discipline, a life that no longer needs a speech to explain itself. And this drives some people insane, because they preferred the version of you who could be baited into debate. When you argued, they still had access to your emotional system. When you explained, they still had power over your confidence. When you begged for belief, they were still the judge. But proof removes them from the throne. Your body answers, your work answers, your money habits answer, your discipline answers, your results answer, your calm answers. You no longer need them to agree. You no longer need them to understand. You no longer need them to validate the path. You only need the evidence to keep growing. This is where social loss becomes liberation. Not always clean, not always painless, but necessary. Because some people are attached to your need for their opinion. When that need dies, the relationship must either mature or break, and you must let it reveal itself. If they mature, keep them. If they respect your proof, keep them. If they challenge you honestly without trying to own you, keep them. But if they need you insecure in order to feel close to you, study that. If they need you doubtful in order to advise you, study that. If they only feel powerful when you are confused, study that. A man becomes dangerous when he stops outsourcing certainty, not reckless, not closed-minded, not impossible to correct, dangerous. Because he can listen without obeying. He can respect advice without needing approval. He can accept correction without returning to weakness. That is the kind of man old rooms cannot easily control. If you are serious about this path, understand something. Watching truth is not the same as becoming proof. You can hear powerful words every day and still stay unchanged because your habits remain untouched. If you continue consuming without applying, you will become addicted to the feeling of transformation while avoiding the cost of transformation. Inside Patreon, I share the deeper, more direct material that cannot be softened for everyone. Frameworks on power, self-control, solitude, masculine discipline, and the psychology of influence. If you want comfort, stay where you are. If you want to actually change, enter the deeper room and do the work. The decision is yours. Now we reach the most painful reason. The 7th reason. Ambitious men lose people before they win is this. You outgrow the room before you can afford to leave it. This is the hardest stage. Mentally, you are gone. Physically, you are still there. You still live in the old environment. You still work the old job. You still hear the same conversations. You still carry the same obligations. You still return to the same house, the same town, the same family patterns, the same people who remember the weaker version of you. But inside, something has already moved. You no longer belong fully, not because you are better as a human being, but because your future is no longer compatible with the room's expectations. This stage creates tension. You feel trapped. You feel irritated. You feel misunderstood. You feel above the room before you have the receipts to prove it. That is dangerous. Because if you let ego speak too early, you become arrogant without leverage. and arrogant without leverage is foolish. This is where many men destroy their own transition. They insult the room before they have built the exit. They announce escape before escape is funded. They burn bridges for emotional relief. They tell everyone they are small. They confuse temporary frustration with permanent superiority. That is not power. That is lack of control. The strategic move is quieter. Do not insult the room. Build until you can leave cleanly. No dramatic speeches, no begging for recognition, no burning bridges for ego, no demanding that people respect a future they cannot yet see. You build the exit. Skill, proof, money, reputation, options. That is how you leave without needing revenge. The old room may be too small for your future, but it may still contain obligations you must handle with discipline. A serious man does not confuse ambition with irresponsibility. He does not abandon duties and call it freedom. He does not neglect people who depend on him and call it focus. He does not use the mission as a mask for selfishness. This is why the final test is so sharp. Can you outgrow a room without despising everyone inside it? Can you build in silence without becoming bitter? Can you accept that some people will not understand you until the proof is undeniable? Can you keep your standards high while your circumstances are still low? That is where a man is forged, not when everyone claps, when no one sees it yet, when the bank account is not there yet, when the body is not there yet, when the business is not there yet, when the escape is not funded yet, when your family still sees the old version, when your friends still speak to the man you used to be, when the room keeps calling you backward and you still choose forward without making a performance out of it. That is power. Not loudness, not revenge, not a fantasy of superiority. Power is the ability to hold your direction while the environment tries to return you to your previous shape. So understand the core lesson. Losing people is not always collapse. Sometimes it is the sound of your old world losing ownership over you. But be careful. Do not use this as permission to become a selfish fool. Not everyone who questions you is an enemy. Not everyone who misses you is weak. Not everyone who worries is trying to control you. Sometimes people have legitimate concerns. Sometimes you are becoming arrogant. Sometimes your discipline is avoidance wearing armor. Sometimes your mission is an excuse to neglect responsibility. Sometimes you are not focused. You are hiding. Sometimes you are not misunderstood. You are simply not communicating with maturity. Machiavellian realism means seeing clearly, not flattering yourself. So test the loss. Are they asking for responsibility, or are they demanding your old weakness? Are they warning you about real damage or punishing you for growth? Are they concerned with your character or threatened by your discipline? Are they trying to help you build better or trying to make you smaller? That distinction matters. The strategic man does not cut people off for ego. He studies the relationship like terrain. Who strengthens the mission? Who drains it? Who respects the new standard? Who mocks it? Who gives honest correction? Who weaponizes doubt? Who adapts? Who demands the old version back? This is the audit. And after the audit, you act. Reduce access to those who feed on the old you. Keep loyalty to those who challenge you without trying to own you. Build new rooms where your future is normal. Do not isolate out of bitterness. Isolate to construct. Then reconnect from strength. Because the goal is not to lose everyone. The goal is to stop being owned by people who only loved your smaller role. So when they say, "You changed," do not rush to defend yourself. Ask silently, "Did I become worse? Or did I become less useful to their comfort?" If the answer is the first, correct yourself. If the answer is the second, keep building. If growth exposes their stagnation, keep building. If discipline insults their comfort, keep building. If your attention is no longer available for distraction, keep building. If you are harder to control, keep building. If your silence makes them suspicious, keep building receipts. If you no longer need validation, keep building proof. If you have outgrown the room before you can leave, build the exit. That is the law. Your old world will not always clap when you start becoming free. Sometimes it will grieve the version of you it could control. Let it grieve. You have work to do.